So, like, you think calling me snake is going to somehow win you the debate? 27 million subscribers, 30 billion lifetime views. You're a pimple on my ass. Yeah, the left wing's audience has got a problem with him. I know the left wing better than he does. Oh, yeah,
you're trying to cozy up with
slapping you right here on national airwaves.
The only thing you can bitch slaps
what part of
Welcome back to the Kyle McCullers Show. I'm your host, Kyle McCullers, here to deliver bold commentary, entertaining insights, and a dose of common sense in a world that often lacks it. Today, we're diving into an explosive debate from the Piers Morgan Uncensored show where Andrew Wilson squared off against Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. And if you don't know Andrew Wilson, he is a debater. He is a regular guest on the Whatever podcast. He has his own channel called The Crucible, and he does a lot of debates. And he's done some debates and conversations with some high-profile people. One of his biggest one is this one with Cenk Uygur. And they tackled some of the most heated issues right now surrounding President Trump's executive orders. And it's all the cultural hot-button topics right now. So it was really good. And here's what's on the agenda today. Trump's pardons for January 6 participants. Are they justified? Birthright citizenship, which is a hot one right now, and all the controversy surrounding that. The so-called death of wokeism and Trump's potential executive, not potential, but his actual executive order that defined gender, and also the comments that Episcopal bishop made at the service that Trump and J.D. Vance and their wives were at recently. They also touched on Elon Musk's Nazi salute that really wasn't, Andrew Wilson's concept of the Broligarchy and masculinity and their conversation surrounding that, and finally, of course, Andrew's inflammatory comments about women that had everybody talking. And so this episode is packed. Grab your coffee or your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get started. So let's start with January 6th. Always a spicy topic, has been for years, and I'm assuming it will continue to be pretty spicy for the remainder of however long this plays out. But in the debate, Andrew argues that Trump's pardons for the January 6 participants are about justice, not politics. Meanwhile, Cenk counters that usually with his usual fiery rhetoric, saying, they're violent criminals, and it was a threat to democracy.
So the first problem is these were not violent criminals who were released. These were political prisoners who were released. What happened is there was no fair application of the law whatsoever. These guys were being tried in D.C. There was a political witch hunt. We have more evidence every single day which provides for that.
So I actually interviewed one of the protesters, Jacob, who was a QAnon shaman guy. And I also had a Capitol police officer who'd been working that day. And what they both agreed, very interestingly, was that they both condemned the violence against police officers that day. So if you can have one of the protesters who've just been pardoned concede that the violence that was perpetrated by some of the protesters was wrong, unacceptable, and should be condemned, why would you categorize it as nonviolent?
Well, I didn't categorize it as nonviolent. I said these are not violent criminals, which is how it's being
But if you're
framed.
perpetrating violence against police officers, it is, isn't it?
What? How many? A few? A couple? This guy on May 30th of 2020, the White House was under siege. It was attacked. Over 100 Secret Service agents injured. They were burning down stations. This guy said, "Oh, well, Trump had to go hide out in his bunker." Can you imagine if the roles were reversed and Donald Trump came out and was like, "Oh, AOC had to go hide. Oh, these politicians had to go hide." He doesn't care about political violence.
So on the Young Turks, we've been super clear about this. And as always, we're the one guys set of people who are fair. You'll see both sides do all this extreme stuff like Andrew's doing. So first of all, the people who went to the speech of Donald Trump, a lot of times they get thrown into this. And I have always said, no, that's not fair. They didn't go down to the Capitol. For the people who went to the Capitol, it's an obvious crime to break into the Capitol. And why were they doing that? They were trying to overturn the results of the election. So you could blah, blah, blah on all your talking points, but it's absurdity. Obviously, they were trying to hurt our democracy. They were trying to steal that election. And were some of them violent? Were all of them violent? No. Were some of them violent? Obviously. We have eyes and ears. So you can do all the propaganda you want, but we just watch the tape of them trying to beat the crap out of the cops. I thought you guys cared about cops. I care about crime. I'm against crime. And, you know, and we take heat sometimes from the left because they think that crime is a right-wing narrative and doesn't actually exist. Well, the voters just showed you it does exist, and they're pissed about it. But they're also pissed about it when you go beat up cops for Trump. So, look, I'm past it because the American people voted. They put Trump back in office, and that's pretty definitive. I hate it. I think it's a terrible precedent. And I think every time you guys defend it, you sound absurd, and it sounds like overwhelming, ridiculous propaganda.
Andrew?
Yeah, what it's about is a fair application of law. And there has not been fair application of law here. Cenk himself cannot even do fair application of law. At the same time, he says, oh, they're trying to coup and overthrow the democracies. Exactly what happened May 30th. When they were attacking the White House, they were attacking Secret Service agents. They wanted to get in there, and all he could do was whine about how Trump had to get sent to a bunker. Where was his outrage about the coup d'etat? Where was he when Black Lives Matter was burning down cities?
No coup
Nowhere.
On May 30th.
It was a protest. He was saying instead, Cenk, I didn't interrupt you once. Do you think he calmed down for me? So anyway, what's going on, very simply, is that he has the revisionist history. While at the same time, the Democrats are saying, you got to stay home and stay masked up.
But here's my take, okay? The media, I believe, has painted with a broad brush everyone who was there. But are we really talking about violent criminals or just people that got swept into the chaos? And should we be more concerned about political targeting than pardons? Let me know your thoughts. Is Trump standing up for his supporters, or is he playing a dangerous game? Next up, we have the debate on birthright citizenship. Trump's executive order aims to end automatic citizenship for children born to non-citizens in the U.S. Cenk called it unconstitutional, while Andrew argued it's a necessary step to protect national sovereignty. Here's the real question. Are we, as Americans, incentivizing illegal immigration, people who come to this country illegally, okay? Not asylum seekers, not people who go through the steps of becoming a citizen, but who jump the border illegally by offering automatic citizenship to their children? And if so, is this executive order the right solution or just political theater? And check this clip out.
The birthright citizenship is one of the executive orders. Do you think Trump intends to do that? Because it seems to me he's already won the debate about illegal immigrants who are here are criminals in America.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of anger about the idea that you may end what seems to be a very American thing, the very ethos of the country, this birthright citizenship. What do you feel?
It's a very un-American thing. The 14th, or I'm sorry, this was never, by the way, never set up so that people could come in, have a baby, and then anchor themselves to the child. And that's what's been going on. And it's been going on for years. We know it's been going on for years. This was designed for things like for immigrants who came in legally. They have children here. Of course, those are United States citizens. Nobody's disputing that. What we're disputing is that you can just come in illegally, have a child on American soil, and then try to anchor yourself to that child. That is not in the spirit of what we're even talking about. Of course, Trump wants to end it. It's bad policy across the board. It's always been bad policy across the board. And I hope the Supreme Court, it gets challenged by the Supreme Court so we could get it in front of them so that they can interpret it correctly, because that's not the way this is supposed to be applied.
Cenk?
But when he goes too far and he goes to things like birthright citizenship, then people are going to push back. And that's when it gets interesting. Is Trump going to double down and go, no, I'm going to, go to demagogue on this and get you people to hate, foreigners coming in, et cetera. And I don't care what the Constitution says. And we're going to change the way America is. And you're no longer an American if you're born here. We're going to judge you based on, where you're from, et cetera. That'll be very unpopular. Does he dig in, or does he, as he does sometimes, go, man, you know what? I gave it a shot, didn't work, and retract? I hope that that's the direction he goes, because this whole, look, brother, if you have a problem with a part of the Constitution, you need to go through the right process.
This is a touchy subject and one worth exploring. Where do you stand? Me personally, I do not think that the spirit of the Constitution was written in a way that says, yeah, if you come to this country automatically and have a child, that child is now a citizen for this United States. I don't believe that that is for people illegally coming here. I do believe that that is for asylum seekers who get approval. I do believe that is for legal immigrants who come to this country legally, who want to become a citizen and is on the path of citizenship, and they have children here. But I don't believe that you can come here illegally, have a baby, your baby's now the citizen, and now you're attached to your baby and you live here and you get all the benefits of being a citizen but not being one. I think that that isn't at all how the framers of the Constitution wrote that. But let me know where you stand. Let me know what you think. And Cenk goes full meltdown on Andrew.
I reject categorically what you said. Just lied to the audience. You called Trump bunker boy, right? He was going down to the bunker during the protest to inspect it. But the thing is, Snake, is that you're just trying to kiss the right wing's ass now to get back in with them, because the left has categorically rejected you, and that's what's actually happening.
Cenk, is that what's happening?
All right, you amuse me. Yeah, this guy amuses me. So, like, you think calling me Snake is going to somehow win you the debate? Good luck with that childish.
I already won the debate.
Way of going. Oh, you did, because you said it. Okay, that, by the way, another great debating tactic. Just saying you won. And second of all, we have 27 million. How many times do I have to say this? 27 million subscribers, 30 billion lifetime views. You're a pimple on my ass. I literally don't even know who you are. So you come in here talking about audience, and oh, you're a snake. Okay, you're a turtle. You're a scorpion. Audience. Whatever. Do I win now?
I didn't say anything about audience. What are you talking about? Are you a lunatic?
You did. You just said, oh, yeah, the left wing's audience has got a problem with it. I know the left wing better than he does. Oh, yeah,
you're trying to cozy up with right-wingers. What were you doing at TPUSA, Cenk? Trying to cozy in with right-wingers like Charlie Kirk, kissing their ass. You're literally kissing up to them because you want in good, because the left is rejecting center-left policies now. That's what's happening.
Hey, brother,
they either want to go far left or far right.
Okay, listen, brother. As you see me bitch slapping you right here on national airwaves.
The only thing you can bitch slap.
What part of that seems like cozying up? What's the part of that seems like cozying up to the right? I think you're an idiot. I think you love that coup on January 6th. I think you hate our democracy. I think you hate our Constitution. So what part of that is cozying up to the right wing? Bitch?
I hate snakes like you who try to get in as good as you can with a weak right like Charlie Kirk, when you have weaponized political violence yourself.
Oh, Charlie Kirk is weak right and you're strong right.
At the same time, at the same time, you say, wait a second. Oh, I can't believe the J6ers coup d'etat. You didn't give a damn. You've never given a damn. We have your words on record. You flip-flop. You're the biggest flip-flopper on the left. You're known for it. People make fun of you for it because you move positions. You and Anna Kasparian both move positions like a tube of toothpaste.
Oh, Trump! I love Trump! Oh, I love Trump so much.
And all you care about is Trump derangement syndrome. All you have is Trump derangement syndrome.
Like I said, full meltdown, and it's hilarious. Okay, so let's talk wokeism, because apparently it's on life support, which is a great thing. Piers brought up the executive order defining gender as biologically male and female, which we all know. And also the clip of the female bishop chastising Trump and his, Trump, J.D. Vance, and their wives who were there at the service of an Episcopal church, I believe, Episcopal denomination, I guess is what that church was. Cenk predictably was thrilled, calling it speaking truth to power. And Andrew says that the bishop is satanic. Listen.
The policy of the United States will be to recognize two genders, male and female. Well, duh. That's always been the case. It's just incredible that the president of the free world effectively has to make this clear to people who'd lost their minds and believe that actually men can be women and women can be men. But do you feel that this has been a big marker in the beginning of the end of the woke mind virus, as Musk calls it?
No, it's not the end of the woke mind virus. You're going to always have to battle this as definitions change because people need to justify their insane and degenerate behavior in society. So they come up with all sorts of nonsense like this. In this particular case, the trans advocacy groups have done more to reverse any type of progress LGBTQ people in the United States have made in the last 30 years because of what they're trying to do with children and the fact that they don't care that you, as a Christian, do not believe at all that a man can become a woman. So, yes, this is whiplash on that. There's going to be a lot more whiplash that's going towards that as people reject categorically what these people have been trying to push on us. You can look no further than what just happened at the inauguration. You have a female bishop. That's an impossibility. That is not Christian at all. You're not allowed to have female bishops. That is satanic. That's literally satanic to have a female bishop come up and say anything. You can laugh, but it is. That's
okay.
Satan
Well,
speaking. And the reason you're laughing is because it's true.
Well, Cenk, I'll get you to respond. But first of all, let's play the clip of that bishop because my objection was actually for different reasons. Let's take a look at it.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here.
So, Cenk, I mean, notwithstanding Andrew's position on the fact there shouldn't be a female bishop, but the fact that she was there on such a big historic moment, delivering a kind of scolding woke lecture with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and their wives sitting there, I just thought it was completely inappropriate. I didn't care who the president was or what the scolding was, but to turn the pulpit into a scolding thing about all America's gay children are going to be running for their lives, I just thought it was completely wrong.
Yeah, Piers, I totally disagree. I loved it. And the reason I loved it is because it's truth to power. And you can say, hey, it's her truth. It's the truth of about half of Americans. It's not necessarily the truth, but at least she's trying to challenge the powerful. And I love that. Look, the reason why a lot of people agree with me is because I challenge the powerful on both sides, on the Democratic side and the Republican side. And that makes the partisans get super mad at me. No, Biden's right about everything. No, Trump's right about everything. No, I love that she spoke for half the country and she said it right to his face. I wish reporters would do that. And I think a lot of the reporters got the message to be softer on Trump. No. Be harder on the Democrats and the Republicans and the establishment. Be harder on everyone. So do exactly as she did, even though apparently she's Satan. Brother, look, how can I talk to you, man, when you say such ludicrous things? Do you know that like 95% of Americans, when you say that she's satanic because she's a woman bishop, think that you're nuts? Do you at least understand and acknowledge that?
First of all, they don't. You don't understand anything about the Bible, apostolic succession, church history. You don't know anything about these things, Cenk. You have no idea what you're talking about. First of all, she wasn't speaking truth to power. She was speaking subversiveness to goodness. And that's what's actually going on. And that's what Democrats are great at doing. Yes, it is completely satanic to have inversion. Inversion is when you take what is considered the Christ head, in this case a bishop, and invert it to a woman. That's what you people are great at doing, is inversion. If you look at the 2,000 years of Christian history, you would understand this, especially church history, going all the way back to the time of Christ and apostolic succession. People, you can, but the truth is that people get all of their ethics and goodness in this nation from biblical ethics and Christian ethics, not from Cenk Uygur thinks it's neat that a chick can do this. It's like, no, that's not part of our ethical standard there. That's not what it is. We don't have an ethical standard based around your version of the woke Bible. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When you call a respected bishop a chick and satanic.
Respected by who?
It's funny that you don't see that you lose such a giant percentage of the country.
I want to weigh in on this clip in a more personal manner too, because I think that well, let's just talk about this. So what does Andrew say? Is he saying that this woman's literally Satan? No. He's saying that this is a farce. This is a satanic farce. And he's saying satanic, meaning Satan means adversary or adversarial, right? It's the entity, it's the fallen angel's name that was given to Lucifer as the enemy of God, and he does everything he can to destroy the image of God, the imago Dei, which is man and all that's created in here. And so when Andrew is saying that it's satanic to have a female bishop, it's because in the Bible it specifically says that women in church are to remain silent. They are not allowed to teach, they are not allowed to speak, because women are not supposed to be in spiritual authority over men. You could make the argument even biblically that no woman is supposed to have any kind of authority over a man at all in any sphere, because of what Andrew said biblically is the head. Christ is the head of the church. The elders lead the church, and those elders are men, and it's because it has to do with authority. God is the head of man, man is the head of woman, right? And that is the creation order, correct? So when he's saying it's an inversion, it's because Satan, or the enemy of God, tries to flip or invert the creation order or any kind of order, because when you flip order, you get chaos, right? Which is why women should not be the head of the church, right? Or in a bishop position, because that's an inversion, right, of the order in which God calls things to be, which is why the whole woke transgender ideology is an inversion. You're trying to take women and make them men, and trying to make men and make them women, and it's an inversion. It's satanic, right? And so that's what Andrew is talking about. And so when Cenk says, 95% of people are going to think you're an idiot, and Andrew's right, he's like, no, they're not. And they're not, because if you're a Christian and you know your Bible, then you know these things to be true. And so that's the thing that I wanted to kind of jump in and just address on that specific point.
So
I'm
guys
speaking
like
truth to
this
power,
make it
Cenk.
nearly impossible for a huge part of the country to ever vote for Republicans. Because if you vote for a Republican, you're going to get these ghouls and goblins. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, chicks shouldn't be on bishops, man. It's inversion, dude. It's satanic. You sound insane. You sound, to me, honestly, you sound like you belong in a mental asylum. But when you call people satanic, what the hell does that even mean?
People are always going to
just
think,
because she's a woman, just because she's a woman, she's satanic in that role. See, that's exactly why I'm a populist, but I can't be populist, right? When guys like
I'm
this
speaking
say
truth
such
to power,
insane things and
What's your
drive
problem? You're
hatred,
huge. I'm
drive
speaking truth to
hatred.
power.
So what do we make of this wokeism stuff? You know, aren't we just stating that biology, what biology already tells us? If wokeism is dying, maybe it's because people are tired of pretending science doesn't exist. That we're suppressing the truth in order to go with the crowd, even though we know it's wrong, right? I think that's what's been happening to a lot of people for a long time. Christians too, or people who claim to be Christians. You know, I think sometimes we idolize empathy, right? I think we idolize not wanting to hurt people's feelings. Your feelings are irrelevant. Your feelings are not the guide, right? And if your feelings are hurt because someone tells you you're not a girl when you're a man, then that is not to be put on a pedestal and worshipped, and then the truth rejected, right? We're not going to stuff the truth because it's going to hurt your feelings, and not our opinion. We're not talking about other people's opinions or their truths. I'm so sick and tired of hearing people's, it's my truth, it's her truth, it's his truth. That's not truth. Those are opinions, right? So when Cenk says the bishop, the female bishop who's not a bishop, is speaking truth to power, no. He says her truth or the half of the nation's truth. It's like, no, it's their opinion. She's speaking her opinion, right? And it's not half, because 77 million people voted for Donald Trump as their president. He overwhelmingly won the popular vote and the electoral college, and he swept all the swing states. This wasn't a 50-50 thing. So Cenk is completely off base with that. The fact is that we're not pretending anymore that there's 100 genders, because there's not. There's 2 sexes, 2 genders, male and female. This might be one of Trump's most polarizing moves yet, which honestly, I don't even think it would be polarizing anymore, because I think people are waking up from this crazy nightmare. It's common sense, and I believe that we're better for it. Okay, now this one's wild. Cenk accuses Elon Musk of doing a Nazi salute. Yeah, you heard that right. Andrew's reaction, priceless.
I want to calm the temperature by turning to Nazi salutes. Cenk, you said about Elon Musk. Let's take a look at what he did, just to remind everyone who may not have seen it.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Now, Cenk, you said it was the most obvious Nazi salute you'd ever seen, which I think
You
Hitler
didn't say
might be a
that,
bit
did you?
surprised about. But you don't
didn't really
actually
say
believe.
that, did you? Say, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
Cenk, just to
I
be
didn't,
clear, you
brother,
don't
I didn't.
actually think he's a Nazi, do you? So how can you make a Nazi salute if you're not actually a Nazi and, in fact, absolutely hate everything they stand for? That's not a Nazi salute. It's a awkward thing that he did to say, my heart to you, that then gets deliberately misinterpreted as a Nazi salute by people who keep wanting to call everyone on the right a Nazi.
No. So Elon Musk is trolling. So this is a classic right-wing maneuver. It's to get attention. And he knows that if he does a Nazi salute, but he says, oh, but I touched my heart. And I can't believe they're calling me a Nazi. I'm the victim. The left wing is coming after me just because I did the most obvious Nazi salute of all time. He did that so crisp, so sharp, exactly like the way that they did in the Third Reich. That's not an accident. He's a smart guy.
I think that is the biggest load of cobblers I've ever heard in my life. But Andrew, over to you.
Yeah. So, okay. So we have tons of evidence that Elon Musk isn't a Nazi. Kanye West, I don't know if you remember this,
I didn't
but
call
he
him a
ran
Nazi.
for he ran for political office when he released a swastika. It wasn't even a swastika. It's just something that looked like one. Musk banned him for it. Musk just went through and did a massive purge. He just went through and did a massive purge of all sorts of people who were considered Nazis or that the left had been calling Nazis on Twitter. It's a big thing right now. All the evidence points to the fact not only is he not a Nazi, but there's no good incentive for him to even do this. What's the incentive? You say, well, it's a dog whistle. He's trolling. He's just funning this and that. No, this is very common, by the way, for people to make this hand gesture. I have it from AOC. I have it from Clinton. I have it from
Germany.
all of these various people.
In the 1930s.
And the thing is, yeah, I have it from all of the Democrats. Cenk. You can draw side-by-side comparisons. People have been showing you them nonstop. You just don't care. You don't care because you want it to be some trolling Nazi thing when it clearly
Then
isn't.
why did
He
I
said, my
defend
heart
all the other
goes out to all
right-wingers?
of
Nick
I mean,
Witness did
listen,
Cenk, as he did it,
make a Nazi.
as he did it, Cenk, he literally says, from my heart to you, or whatever the words were, right?
Yeah.
He literally tells
Touches
you
his
what he's
heart.
doing.
Yeah, that's
from
the
my heart
plausible
to you.
deniability. Of course.
Nobody,
Of course. Do you
nobody
think, Piers,
actually believes.
Piers,
Hang on, Cenk.
Piers,
No, Cenk, hang on.
you're a sophisticated
Nobody
media
actually,
person.
including
Do you
you, by the
really
way.
think he would have said, this is for the Third Reich? No, of course he's going to have
He would
plausible
if he was a
deniability
Nazi.
and make up an excuse. You
Yeah.
know that.
If he was a Nazi, he'd say, Heil Hitler, this is for you, the Third Reich, my love to you.
Yeah.
Yes, because he would be an actual Nazi.
You,
Instead,
Well,
he's a
first
guy
of
who
all,
literally
Piers,
a few
you're
months
fighting a
ago
ghost.
went to Jerusalem. He went to Jerusalem. He
yeah,
went to the,
but again,
and then he went down to the.
but
he went
Piers,
down to
two
the
things.
kibbutz,
Number
which
one,
was
you're fighting a
annihilated
ghost.
on
I didn't
October the
say he was a
7th.
Nazi.
He literally went.
I didn't
to the
say he was a
scene
Nazi.
Of the
You
massacre
keep going back to
of
he's
Jewish
not a Nazi.
people on
It's
I'm
October
saying
the
he's
7th.
doing it for
It's inferred.
attention, and you know that, Piers. As a guy who loves attention,
not true.
you know he's doing it for the attention.
I don't
so
know that,
stop making
'cause
an
it
argument,
didn't happen.
debating an argument that I didn't even make.
There is absolutely no way in the world Elon Musk deliberately did that to get attention as a Nazi sympathizer.
Yeah.
The whole idea of that is fanciful, delusional, and deliberately,
No, not as a Nazi
deliberately
sympathizer,
manipulative
Piers.
nonsense.
Here's the truth. Elon Musk was saying from his heart to you, right? And because he's an awkward guy, he made a weird, gesture. And like Piers Morgan said, it was ill-advised. It was an ill-advised, gesture. That's it. But leave it to the leftist mob. Leave it to Cenk to turn a gesture, an awkward move into a headline about how he's Nazis. And Piers is right. The left is fascinated and attached with calling everyone on the right a Nazi. And it's just a misnomer. It's being used so much now, it's starting to lose its value and its worth, and people don't even really understand what a Nazi actually is or what a Nazi actually believes. And I just think it's sad and ridiculous. So what does this tell us about today's culture? Simple. When people want to find something to be mad about, they'll invent it. What are your thoughts? Leave a comment. Let's pivot to Piers bringing up the Broligarchy. He's talking about a movement where people like Joe Rogan, I would say Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, there's this coalition that is starting to embrace masculinity and common sense and start agreeing on things again. Things that used to be celebrated, but were being demonized recently. And to Cenk's credit, in a moment of rarity, he actually agreed, but also warns us against the term Broligarchs in the country. But check this out.
Elon Musk and Trump and RFK, Joe Rogan, all these guys, that there's a kind of new Broligarchy that is ruling America. And that's why so many young men in particular, black, white, Muslim, Jew, whatever, all came out and voted for Trump in bigger numbers. Do you feel is it a real thing, the Broligarchy?
Yes. Men like things which are masculine, and they're moving back towards masculinity from the social ineptness of the left, saying, oh, no, all these feminine virtues are great. Men are not happy with that. They're not thrilled about it one bit. Absolutely. I would say that there's a ton of people now who are saying, look, we need to have some type of common sense. We can't have trans kids running around. We can't have this stuff in our schools. We can't have these indoctrination programs everywhere. So it's trying to yield back to common sense. Remember what Trump said in the inauguration. He says, now it is time to go back to common sense. He said that. He also said it's Liberation Day because we're going back to common sense. So yes, I wouldn't say it's an oligarchy or a broligarchy, right? I would just say it's a whole bunch of like-minded men who are all saying no at the same time. There's not only nothing wrong with that, but it's been needed for a long time.
Yeah, and Cenk, I agree. I do think that men, for a number of years now, since the Me Too and Time's Up movements, quite rightly held a lot of predatory men to proper account. No problem with that whatsoever. But the pendulum swung so far the other way that every man started feeling like they were predatory until they could prove otherwise. And a lot of young men in particular gravitated to people like Andrew Tate and these kind of more contentious characters because they were crying out for someone to tell them what they should be like as a man. And what it feels to me now is, as Andrew just said, is that you're getting a return perhaps of the pendulum to a place where it's okay to be masculine. It's okay to slightly beat your chest and say, I'm proud to be a man. And I think it is. I think that's been long overdue to have that pendulum come back to where not all masculinity is toxic.
On this one, I completely agree with you, Piers. I think the pendulum swings all the time, and every time it swings, I'm against it when it gets to the extremes, and I get hit by both sides. But yeah, I think that people went too far. Every form of masculinity was being called toxic masculinity, but that's not right. But I do want to say one thing. That term you use is kind of a misnomer because it takes the bros and combines them with the oligarchs. And the oligarchs are different. Like Elon Musk might be a bro, but he's way more of an oligarch. Like the Rogans and the Portnoys are more of the classic bros, and I have a lot in common with those guys. I also have tons of disagreements with those guys. That's normal. But I'm just warning everyone, populist right, populist left, beware of the donor class. And I'm not dead set against Elon or anyone else. As you know, Piers, if he wants to cut the Pentagon, I'll help him cut the Pentagon. He control all he likes. I don't care, as long as we get to the right policy and the right things for the American people. But be careful, guys. The donor class has a lot of power, and they want things for their own benefit and not necessarily for the average
I don't
guy.
disagree with you.
You know, I gotta give some ground here, where ground is due. You are correct about that. They should be disassociated between the two. Joe Rogan's not like Elon Musk, but I think when Pierce is referencing a broligarchy, it's tongue in cheek to say, hey, a lot of these guys are working kind of hand in hand in tandem in order to move a political agenda, and I don't even think any of us would disagree with that. But yes, I agree with you. There are actual oligarchs in the United States. There is a technocratic class which is coming to fruition. Nobody's disputing that. It's how we handle it that matters.
Yeah, and you know, it was quite fun.
It was great to see some common ground there that Cenk and Andrew and even Piers were able to be on. And that was, it's great to have masculinity back in America. There are oligarchs in America. They're not the same as the bros. And we do have to be careful about that in the donor class. So that was really good to see, you know, that agreement around the board. Here's my take. I think that standing up for yourself, leading your family, and thinking logically is not toxic. And if it's considered toxic, then sign me up. But are we seeing a resurgence of real men and men stepping up? I think so. And I think it's about time. Finally, in our final segment, let's address the elephant in the room. Andrew Wilson's inflammatory comments about women. You know, he's argued for a long time the Christian ethic and against feminism on the Whatever podcast and on other platforms. He's also argued that feminism has led to a lack of accountability and that traditional gender roles aren't oppressive, they're essential, which I believe is 100% correct. And I think it was funny how Piers highlighted some of these comments that for some reason, I guess, went viral and made people, or not people, but made feminists just explode. Check these out.
Funny, Andrew, because my team had prepared some of your supposedly controversial, inflammatory quotes about women. And I've just read them, and I'm thinking, I think in the Brave New World, I don't find them that controversial. So I'm just going to read one.
I was a very controversial
One is, the only reason femoids hate my wife is because I tell her to get me a beer and she does. That's the kind of thing I say to my wife, and she laughs once she's made my dinner. And then you say women,
and by the way,
find beds to be.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Doesn't the beer taste better when your wife brings it to you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then you said this, and Cenk, I'm interested in whether you agree with this or not. Women find beds to be a centerpiece of decoration. Men find beds to be tools for sleeping. It serves no purpose. I mean, I agree. Cenk?
Beds. He said beds, Cenk. So like men, when we look at beds, we look at them as tools for sleeping in. Women actually look at them as decorations.
He's right.
As well.
Cenk?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some truth to that. Of course, not all women are the same. Not all men are the same. But my mom would do curtains that didn't cover the windows at all because they looked great.
But Andrew Wilson's deeply inflammatory, controversial quotes about women can actually now be laughed at in the tone that I believe they were originally expressed, which is, you know what? Of course. It's just a bit of fun. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Women and men can tell little light-hearted jokes about each other, playing up all kinds of stereotypes, and it doesn't matter. People
they
need to be
do
shamed,
all the time.
cancelled,
Yes.
vilified, fired from their jobs. We can actually have fun, and then we can actually, by doing that, isolate the people who really deserve to be isolated, who are despicable pieces of work. So
I couldn't agree more. I love that everyone was laughing and smiling at the end of this one. It was a very contentious, it was very explosive, but in the end, there was some agreement, there was some lighthearted jokes there, and I do believe Piers is right. I think we're getting back to a point where men and women can actually make fun of each other in a lighthearted way and a stereotypical way, and no one's going to get in their feelings or upset or cancel each other out. So that's it for today's episode of the Kyle McCullers Show. We have covered a lot, from Trump's executive orders to Elon Musk's latest non-scandal and what is a Broligarchy. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, share it with a friend, leave a comment. It goes so far for the algorithm on YouTube and to get the show out. So I really appreciate you guys if you guys subscribe, like, comment. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Kyle M Show, and on X at Lux and Veritas. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strong, and keep thinking critically. I'll see you on the next episode.